The movie kicks off with Robinson getting the news that he's canned from his job. They basically cut him loose because they didn't need his services anymore. We see he's totally bummed out and can't even believe what's going down, especially after he finds out the severance pay amount they gave him. It was an insult, man. After 11 years of staying loyal to the company, he heads back to his place after grabbing all his stuff from the office. He stares at a picture of his son Martin, who he misses like crazy and needs to see. So he goes to watch him from a distance but can't bring himself to get close. That really messes with him. We find out later that the kid lives with his mom and her super rich husband, after Robinson and his ex split up after a ton of drama. After that, he links up with his buddies, and they all sit around whining about their bad luck and how broke they are. We find out they all got the axe from the same company, Agora. Then, Kristen rolls up with an idea that'll get them out of poverty and net them a huge pile of cash. He tells them about this big-shot investor they can hit up to bankroll them with the money and gear they need. They're planning to go after a submarine full of gold in the Black Sea, in Russian territory. The gold was stashed there way back during Hitler's time and was supposed to be a gift to the Russian government. But after the mess Hitler made, everybody forgot about it, and no one ever went looking. So the investor agrees, but he makes him a deal. He gets a 40% cut, and they shake on it. They start getting their plan together. Robinson tries to call Kristen a bunch of times, but ends up finding this young kid named Khan, who was Kristen's pal. The kid tells him that Kristen killed himself and asked him to wait for Robinson to show up so he could spill what happened. Robinson's super upset and sad about his friend, but it's too late because he's gone. So he decides to just focus on what matters and finish their mission. He asks Tobin if he's ever been out to sea before. Even though it'll be his first time, Robinson decides to bring him along because he saw his son in the kid and really liked him. They get to the sub they rented, and it was definitely looking rough. After checking it out, they find a bunch of flaws and try to fix them. But the one thing they can't deal with is that they don't have life vests, and the radio signal is super weak. Robinson says they can't even use the radio anyway because they'll be deep under the Black Sea, and nobody can know they're there. If they do, it'll put them in serious danger. They decide to take the risk no matter what, especially after Robinson tells them the gold is worth $40 million, maybe even more. 40% of that is for Lewis, the investor's boss Daniel, who bankrolled them, and the rest of the cash will be split evenly among them. Daniel is really bummed about this call. He warns him that someone might get greedy and start stirring up drama, because the fewer guys there are, the bigger their cut gets. He tells him they could have done the same gig for way less money, but Robinson loses his cool on him because they're putting their lives on the line, and nobody's listening to him. Sure enough, they kick off their journey. We see that nobody really likes Tobin because he's super young, and it's his first time at sea, which is going to be a drag for them. Plus, he's totally useless, but going to get the same share of the money. But Robinson tells them that anyone who's mean to the kid can hop off the sub right now and not finish the trip with them. So they have no choice but to treat him right. But we figure out Daniel was right. He stirs up Fraser and a couple of the others. He tells them they'll get more money after they see Tobin on his phone all the time. And in the end, he's gonna get the same cut as them. They start talking about the exchange rate and how much money they'll get, and how their cut is gonna be a ton more for them compared to the Russians because of the currency difference. They get into their first fight with Vershenko, and it's obvious they're gonna have a bunch of problems. Robinson goes to check on him, but Vershenko tells him he's messed up because he got a girl pregnant. So Robinson tells him not to sweat it because he's gonna go home super rich, and that'll make everything easier, and his son will never need anything, and he can raise him right. Suddenly he sees all these alarm lights going off everywhere. He rushes to the control room, and there he finds out there's another engine nearby, and they gotta change course so they don't crash into each other. They manage to pass safely and get back on their route. At the same time, Tobin's chilling on his bunk, asking Blackie how they can stand being down here for so long. He tells him he's gonna have a baby and be a dad, but all of a sudden, Fraser's buddies come in and start giving him grief and hassling him. He figures they're just trying to mess with him. Fraser heads for the engine room, planning to off Tobin. Blackie tries to stop him and asks him to hand over the knife. Fraser flips out and actually hands it to him, but right into his chest, not his hand. Everyone freaks out because the crap started way too soon. Blackie drops dead. Fraser spills a bucket of gas, which catches the engines on fire. That causes a huge explosion that wrecks all the engines. So the sub drops to the ocean floor. They all pass out, and a bunch of them are dead. Robinson wakes up 18 hours later. They tell him what happened, and that the main propulsion engine got blown up by the explosion. They've only got 36 hours left before everything shuts down and they all die. Fraser says they have a food stash, but the Russians are pissed and out for blood, and they've got all the water, so they're gonna need each other real soon. Robinson blows up at him and tells him he got a bunch of people killed and he doesn't want to hear his voice again. He goes to the Russians to cut a deal with them. He tells them he can get the sub moving. He explains that they actually reached the boat they were looking for, the one with the gold. They'll take the main propulsion shaft from it. He promises them it hasn't rusted because the Black Sea has no oxygen. He keeps talking and says they'll get the sub off the bottom of the ocean and back to shore using the lifeboats. Lee tells him that their numbers are too low and they can't finish the job, but Robinson assures him they can pull it off, but with Papa's help. And they gotta talk him into staying, cause after Blackie's murder, they're set on getting justice and killing Fraser. He tells them that nobody can stand Fraser, but they gotta deal with it and finish the job. Sure enough, they all band together, but they haven't forgotten about Blackie, and they're just waiting to get out and do what they gotta do. Papa manages to figure out their exact location. Fraser gets ready to go out and check things out. He asks Peters to go with him, but Peters is scared because he's old and can't handle it anymore. Robinson tells him there's something about 100 meters from them. It might be the sub they're looking for, or it could just be a mound, and they're nowhere near the sub. He says he could find out for sure, but it would take days, and time's running out on them. They decide to go out and check, because if they're on the wrong mound, they're super far from the ship. So either way, they're dead men. They need a third diver to go with Fraser and Peters, but none of the guys left are divers. So Tobin says he went diving once at a youth club and could help them out. They have no choice but to go with him. Robinson gets him ready and tells him to stick close to Fraser and never leave his side, because he knows exactly what Fraser will do. He tells Fraser that the oxygen they have is only good for one trip, and they gotta make it count. They head out, but Tobin gets freaked out and scared as hell by how dark it is. Fraser tries to calm him down and tells him he's safe as long as he's with him. He chills out a little, but before he can even catch his breath, another disaster pops up. He falls off a ledge, but Fraser catches him. Fraser tells the others he's fine, and they keep moving. Finally, they reach their destination, but sadly, they find out it's just a rocky mound, and they're on the wrong plateau. They tell the guys in the sub, and everyone gets discouraged, especially Papa. But Tobin steps up and puts his hand on the mound. He finds that the dirt is coming off, and they realize they've finally reached the ship. It was just buried in dirt. The sub instantly goes from bummed out to super happy and pumped up, especially Papa, who's proud of himself and celebrates with them. Fraser, Tobin, and Peters go into the ship to explore. They find a ton of skeletons of dead people, and it looks like they were tied up. They reach the engine they came for. Tobin and Peters try to get it out, while Fraser decides to look for the gold. Sure enough, he finds a huge amount of gold bars. He's thrilled about it. They load the gold onto the cart they're going to use to pull the engine, but it's super heavy, weighing over 40 tons, which makes it a nightmare to pull. They signal the sub that they found the gold. Everyone's excited because that's what they came for, but they're worried it's too heavy and the winch won't be able to pull it. Daniel warns Robinson again that the cable will snap and they won't get the engine or the gold, and they'll all die down there. But as usual, Robinson doesn't pay attention to him and tells them to keep going. The three guys try to push the cart to help it move, and it actually moves until they reach the same ledge Tobin fell from. They try to straighten the cart's path and push it with all their might, but it starts slipping, and the gold begins to fall off the cart. Peters tries with all his strength to grab it and do something, but he falls off, and no one can save him in time. When they get back to the sub, they figure out what they're gonna do and how they'll handle things. Now that their numbers are lower, they can't finish the job. That's when Daniel asks to talk to Robinson alone. He hits him with the truth. Lewis, who funded them, is a fake, just an actor. The real backer is the Agora company, the one that fired Robinson and the other guys. They fired him exactly now, so he'd have no choice but to go after the gold. This whole thing was a setup to get the gold for them. The minute they get back, they're going to arrest all of them and take the gold. But even though Robinson's shocked, he's mostly confused because Kristen was the one who gave them the idea. Daniel shocks him even more by saying they paid Kristen off to do it, and that's why Kristen killed himself. But Robinson's not even sweating that. All he cares about right now is Tobin, because he's just a kid who didn't do anything wrong. He leaves Daniel to go out to the others. When they find out the truth, they all want to go in, kill Daniel, and get revenge. But Robinson manages to calm him down and get him under control. He tells them that killing Daniel is pointless, and they don't have time to waste on him. They decide to get the gold out, but in Turkish waters. That way, Agora won't be able to get to them. They get the engine and the gold into the sub. The gold weighs 3 tons and 300 kilos. That means everyone's cut is $180,048,000. They get Daniel to help him and use his presence. He tries to tug at Fraser's heartstrings by saying he has 2 kids and he did all this for them. Robinson walks in. Fraser tells him he feels like Peters is still alive. but Robinson shuts him down and tells him to forget about it because there's no way Peters is still alive. Fraser gets mad at him and says the gold has really changed him and messed up his judgment. They keep working and trying to get the engine started. It actually works and the sub starts going up to the required depth. Then they head for the Turkish border. But all of a sudden, Papa finds out there are huge rocks about 80 meters away from them. They all freak out and try to stop the sub as fast as they can. The rocks keep getting closer until they finally stop, only 5 meters away. They start looking for other options. They suggest going back and turning around, but that'll take 8 hours, and the batteries won't last that long. Robinson finds a super narrow valley, but going through it would take an hour tops. He pitches the idea that they should trust Papa and power through the valley, but it's a huge risk. Fraser and everyone else are against it because they're scared of dying, but Robinson pulls a gun on them and orders them to get back to their spots and wait for his orders because he's the captain. Sure enough, they go into the valley. They fix their course and keep going, but Daniel tries to start trouble between them. He gets Fraser all worked up to kill Zaid Safar. He tells him without Safar, they won't be able to navigate anymore and will be forced to go to the surface. He thinks this is their only shot at survival. Fraser tries to fight off Daniel's trash talk. Suddenly, they crash into the rocks. Everyone falls down. Fraser loses it and decides to kill Zaid Safar. All the gauges go dark. Daniel and Fraser come out and say he died when they hit the rocks. Nobody believes them, and they know Fraser killed him. That's when Daniel says they gotta get out right now, and there are no other options. Robinson gets up with his gun and is set on taking out Daniel. No one can talk him out of it or stop him until Daniel speaks. Robinson stops and hears him say that they just want to live. They don't want anything else, not even the gold. Suddenly, the sub crashes hard into the rocks again. They sink to the bottom, and the sub breaks apart. Water starts rushing in everywhere. A hole explodes right in front of Tobin, who falls down and blacks out. Robinson yells and loses it, leaving everything behind to try and save him. Daniel takes advantage of them trying to seal the holes. He goes out and shuts the doors on them. That's gonna make them all drown and die. We see Robinson trying to save Tobin until he finally manages to get the water out of him, and he wakes up. Daniel keeps running. After everyone in the engine room drowns, the door bursts open from the water pressure. He runs and shuts the second door so he doesn't drown, but the door slams on his belt and he can't get it out. Robinson sees him but refuses to help because Daniel doesn't deserve any help, especially after Robinson found out what he did to them. He leaves him and walks out. Robinson goes out and tells the others what happened and that they're all gonna die down here and there's zero chance of survival. But he surprises them by saying he has a stash of extra life suits hidden away. He gets ticked off at Daniel and tells him he got all of them killed and he never told them about the life suits. But Robinson manages to calm him down and gets him ready to leave. Tobin wants to grab a gold bar for his son after finding out it's worth $500,000, but Robinson tells him it's too risky and it'll weigh him down. He and Marzov get out of the sub. Robinson waits to equalize the pressure. They ask him how he's gonna get out. He tells them he'll use the emergency lift in the tubes. They take off and actually get out. They're super close to the shore. Tobin says they gotta wait for Robinson, but they're shocked when they realize there's no emergency lift in the sub. Tobin's heartbroken and super sad about Robinson. Robinson sits on the gold, smokes a cigarette, and waits to die. All his memories with his son and wife flash before his eyes. Suddenly, he sees the third life suit and Tobin running toward it. They think it's Robinson, but they're surprised. He sent them the gold with a picture of his son and wife so they could live happily and send his son his share. That's how our movie ends. If you dug today's movie, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell because we got some killer recaps coming up. Catch you in the next one. Peace.